Welcome, Gemini, to your 2020 reading. This is a reading to have a flavour of the energy for you for next year, and it's looking to be such an incredibly powerful year astrologically for us all. It's going to affect us in different ways. We're going to be drawing from the runes first. We're actually going to be drawing 6 runes for each of these readings. That's what I heard in my kind of meditation as I was preparing actually to perhaps do these readings. I wasn't sure whether to do them or not, and got a very clear yes, and to do them now. So really, really interesting energy around. For those of you that are returning to the channel, returning to our community, because that's what it feels like. We're really building a lovely community. Guys, welcome back. And for anyone new, I'm Jenny Florence. I do a lot of free stuff. I put a lot of free resources into the world. So if you check out the information box below, you'll find out everything you need to down there. And also, guys, just to say, people have been asking what cards I use. I use so many. So I'm having a new page set up on my website. So it'll be live, hopefully by the end of next week at the very latest. Depending on when you check in on this reading, it might already be live. Today is actually Saturday the 16th of November. Within the next week it will be live, so that you can, if there's any cards I'm using and you want to know what they are and where to get them, all of that information will be listed there. So guys, let's start. Oh, we have 2 to start with. Wow, guys, that's a pretty powerful combination. We have the Rune of Harvest and the Blank Rune. The Rune of Harvest speaks of the span of a year. It doesn't always mean an actual year. So even though this reading is about next year, it's effectively speaking about a cycle. So we use the example of a year because it's kind of like a cycle from planting something through to harvest, which, in terms of if you were a farmer or a gardener, you might look at that as an entire cycle. You might be prepping the soil. If you're in the northern hemisphere at the moment, you might be mulching the soil in anticipation already of what you're going to grow next year. So this speaks of a cycle, a complete cycle of something. The Blank Rune, unbelievably powerful. This is the rune of infinite possibilities. It's the rune of, it's like a rune of gestation. It says it's like the infinite source of possibility that sits in the unknowable future. It's a rune of almost like pregnancy or pause. As I said, gestation is the right word. This rune has an invitation with it. The rune asks you to be willing and permitting and to relinquish control. So it's kind of, I'd liken it back to this rune of harvest. You can't, if you plant something, you can't force it to grow. What you can do is nurture it. You can tend to it with care. You can provide it with the best possible conditions. But you then kind of almost have to give yourself up to the will of heaven and to the universe, and trust that your seeds are going to grow and that the harvest will come. So this is the sort of energy. It's like it's an energy of working with something, but it does promise fruition actually. Okay, 2 more runes. We have the Rune of Wholeness and the Rune of the Self. Pretty magical pair, again, actually, to be honest. The Self, it speaks of, it asks you to be ordinary in an extraordinary way. There's such a lot of connection here to sowing seeds and growing something. The same with the Rune of Wholeness. The Rune of Wholeness speaks about regeneration at a cellular level. It's a very, very powerful rune. And it says that life force is available to you. Source energy is available to you. It's available to you for the path that you must follow. So it's kind of like finding your pathway. I feel as though you guys are going to next year be given an opportunity to really discover what it's almost like what your true calling is. You may already be on that pathway, in which case I think possibilities are going to come to you to extend that pathway. But if you're in a space where you're not sure which way to go, or you're wondering which way to turn, or you're not sure of your direction, I would say next year looks to be promising the opportunity for that to emerge, and I think you're going to know. But you may have to sort of kind of like trust and allow something to emerge. It's just this connection here between the rune of wholeness and the rune of the self. There's something about really, it is this regeneration at a cellular level. This is a massive year of change for you guys. Let's have a quick look and see what other runes we get. Magnificent. We have the rune of breakthrough. A major shift or breakthrough. Sometimes this is like a 180-degree turn. And it says, because the timing is right, the outcome is assured. However, it may not be as you expect. So again, this rune calls for trust. Sometimes radical trust. It's almost like, do you know, I think for some of you guys, the calling or the direction, your purpose, may not be what you thought it was. If you're searching for something, it's going to become clear. I think it's going to become clear anyway. That seems to me that you are going to be either offered numerous possibilities, like this infinite source of possibilities, and you're going to need to decide, or you're going to be given something that gives you a really definitively clear direction at some point. But something has to grow. It isn't something that just happens overnight. And again, there's a constant request here for willingness on your part to embrace the changes. Along with trust, it's like trusting that the universe has your back. We'll draw one more rune. We have the rune of joy. What a lovely rune to end with in terms of just the overall energy that's going to be sitting and governing the year for you before we draw our cards. Joy, light. This says a term of travail has ended. It's literally new energy out of darkness into light. Again, interestingly enough, it says that you may renounce your existing plans and goals. You might change your mind. You might move in a different direction. If you do, it is proper to do so. Yeah, very interesting energy, I want to say. Very, very interesting. Now, I'm going to place these runes up here, out of our way, so that we can draw a lot of cards, because we're going to be. Oops, there we go. I think we got those really nicely. I think we're still in camera, aren't we? Yes. Good, I've got the wider lens on, so we should be able to see well. I'm going to draw a spirit animal guide card just to see what shows up for you guys, what energy is around you in guidance. Oh, this is really interesting. Vulture spirit, nothing is wasted. I have a really clear message coming through with this card. It connects in with these runes beautifully. I think there may be a few twists and turns on the road. And when we find that we are being given infinite possibilities, sometimes it's like we have to try things on for size in order to know whether they're right for us or not. I actually, for those of you who may be looking for a relationship or a career, whatever it is, I sometimes talk to people when they're kind of dating, and I say to them, you know, I think it's really valuable that we take our time to get to know people. Sometimes we have to try people on for size before we really get to know them well enough to know fundamentally whether we can make one another happy. It's the same with a job or a career pathway, or you can never really know how it's going to be until you've tried it. You can look at a job on paper and think it is the best thing ever. It could tick every box. But when you get there, there's something about the dynamic or the atmosphere or the team or the ethos, underlying ethos in the organisation that doesn't sit with you. Likewise, you could do something temporarily thinking it's just a fill-in and just discover that you love it. We can never know till we get there. Nothing is wasted. You're really being asked, I think, to recognise that as you journey through 2020, and we are fast approaching that time, allow yourselves to immerse yourself in the experience of living. Again, it's this sense of relinquishing control, permitting, willingness, living an ordinary life in an extraordinary way. It's allowing something of your individuality to, I want to say, for you to discover that of yourself, something of yourself. It's like you come home to yourself in some way, or you realign. Again, this regeneration at a cellular level, you realign with yourself in a different way. And because you do that, you start to attract in a variety of opportunities. And those opportunities will both help to shape you, nothing is wasted, as well as provide you with doorways of opportunity that kind of lead you to a point where I think there is a breakthrough point during the year, a major shift where you know what it is that you want to do, you know the path you must follow. But I think you may have to try a few different avenues on for size, depending on what's actually going on in your own unique individual circumstances. We'll draw from one of the tarot packs next. Oh wow, guys. Just in case we weren't recognising that we were on a mission of change, we have the Tower, internal change, the biggest card you can get for internal changes. This really is regeneration at a cellular level. When we ourselves shift and change internally, I think it takes a short while before that really radiates out into the world and we start to draw to us, in terms of manifestation, the things that we desire. Also, at times of change, sometimes the things that we desire kind of change. It's like what we think we want, let's say right now, what you think you might want might have changed in a couple of months. Something might have happened to cause you to shift your perspective, to have a realization. And I think this year has the flavour of that for you, but it does lead to breakthrough and it does lead to harvest. Yes, so we have a card, 8 of Wands, the card of travel. Again, new journeys, new opportunities. For some people, this literally means they are embarking on a new journey. But again, you won't know until you get there whether it's the right one for you. Really hearing that very clearly. But nothing is wasted. Everything that you experience along the way will be helping to lead you to this sense of wholeness, that fundamental sense of self that allows you to create this profound breakthrough. Lovely energy of the Ace of Wands. New beginnings, new horizons, new opportunities, a surge of energy for new creative ventures. We have the Hierophant. We're getting some big cards here, guys. The Hierophant is Chiron, the wounded healer. So we are talking about, on your journey, something of that journey. Be sure whatever you are doing, whatever you try on for size, be sure to take time to reflect and journey inwards to really listen to your experience. So what I'm really hearing is, as you find yourself experiencing different circumstances, travel inwards, and it's almost like you're being asked to sort of feel your way through different situations, learning to listen to yourself. Really, really listen to yourself, listen to your own experiences, and allow them to guide you. I think there is something gets healed. You move beyond something as well. That's part of this breakthrough. Trying things on for size. I think for some of you there has been a significant hurt or challenge in some area, or a disappointment is the word that I'm hearing. And that's caused you to kind of withdraw. This is a year of sowing fresh seeds, starting again. Again, preparing the ground to sow those seeds, recognizing there's a cycle to be gone through, but you come out the other side and there is a process of healing that takes place. And that kind of, it revitalizes you in some way. And we have the card of the Fool. New beginnings, new horizons, new opportunities. It can mean taking a risk, but actually, curiously enough, there isn't so much of a risky energy with this. Sometimes in some readings it's really clear that there's a big risk. It literally does feel like you're stepping off the edge of a cliff. It doesn't feel like that for me, because it's more steady. It's this cycle of a year. I feel as though you are being almost gifted with a series of opportunities. Each one kind of, not only does it feed you and bring you some learning and something that you need, it also heals you. And one way or the other, I don't think you're lacking in energy. You know, again, for some signs, depending on the planetary influences, there can be a tiredness. I don't feel that here. I think you're regenerating. It's like a comeback or a sequel. You know, if you've written an amazing novel or something and you're now going to embark on a new one, the chapters are going to unfold as you write. It's not a book that you can predict. So you've kind of got to trust that it's going to unfold. You are being asked to trust. But it will unfold, and as it does, as each chapter emerges, there is some kind of a healing that takes place. And as that healing takes place, you shift energetically. That's what I'm really hearing. And therefore, new beginnings, your direction, your calling, this major shift, this major breakthrough comes to you. Joy, light, a term of travail ends, you know, new energy, new clarity, out of the dark into the light. You emerge, you come through this. So whatever has caused you to be tired, to retreat, you're coming out of that with good energy levels, I'm going to say. Really, really good, consistent energy levels here. So we'll now draw from one of the other tarot packs. They're my favourites, these two. I've worked with them for so long. Wow, we have the card of the universe sitting under the tower. It's a card of completion. Completion, new opportunities. It's really in alignment with this blank rune. Infinite source of possibility. It kind of also says, look, the universe has your back. Whatever changes you are making, whatever opportunities come your way, there is this willingness to change that is required or being invited of you. And the more open you are to going with that, it's almost like the more things are going to flow. It's like shifting. There may be for some of you as well some kind of an internal shift in your attitude. I don't know whether it's your attitude to yourself or your attitude to possibility. Going back to what I said a moment ago, I think some of you have been hurt and you've withdrawn. And that's understandable. You know, there is nothing wrong with withdrawing. I mean, I think, to be honest, it's a skill of the spiritual warrior to know when to ease back, to know when to repair, to look after ourselves. There's also time to push forwards. This isn't a time to withdraw. It's not a time to plough forwards either. It's a time to, it's like preparing the ground for your own deliverance and allowing things to emerge. Some things will need to be completed along the way, but a phase is coming to an end and you are embarking on a new phase, literally a new chapter of your lives. This is really interesting because we get the Hierophant again. There's a lot of healing taking place here. A lot of healing and a lot of, you're being asked to make sure that every step of the way you really involve yourself in a process of self-reflection. I'm not here to plug my books, but I wrote a book called 7 Steps to Spiritual Empathy. It's fundamentally a book that teaches you to listen to yourself, like right down to almost like every cell in your body, to the point where you can listen to all of life that flows through you. It's about learning to understand empathy as an attunement with life, not just as a sort of a cognitive listening skill where we sit and listen to someone else. And I personally think if we can't listen to ourselves, I don't think we can heal. We always remain somehow imbalanced. If some of you struggle to listen to yourselves, it's quite a philosophical book, but it might be of interest to some of you. To be fair, I'm going to be giving away some copies of the real books during Christmas time as well. I'm going to be doing some extra kind of giveaways just in celebration of this fabulous community that we're building. So kind of watch this space anyway. But yeah, listen to yourselves, reflect. Really, really important, that internal journeying every step of the way. Yeah, absolutely. Now this is interesting. We have the card of oppression here sitting under the Ace of Wands. This card, it doesn't mean you're going to be oppressed. It's Saturn in Sagittarius. That's the astrological connection to this card. It doesn't mean you're going to be oppressed. It means that you are being asked to cleanse anything within you that you use to hold yourself back. It's like self-oppression. So again, there's so much opportunity for you next year. If you try something on for size and you experience disappointment, don't allow that disappointment to derail you. Don't allow it to compound any thinking patterns around disappointment. Certain emotions produce certain thinking patterns, and disappointment tends to produce a series of thinking patterns that go along the lines of, oh, I knew it wouldn't work out, it always happens to me, why did I bother, I don't know why I tried. Those are the sort of thinking patterns that come from disappointment. And this card is asking you not to get involved in those, and in fact to cleanse yourself of them. The energy is with you to do so. The energy is completely with you to heal from any disappointments of the past. Absolutely. We have the wonderful card, the Nine of Cups, happiness. This is emotional freedom after a period of emotional stuckness. It's like emotions flow and you use the energy of emotions to attract everything that... It's in the law of attraction. It's not just about our thoughts. It's about the way that we feel. You can have as many positive thoughts as you like, but if you fundamentally don't believe them, or if your energetic resonance inside is tangled up in some sort of emotional history that was difficult or negative, those emotions block you from being able to receive the intentions that you are putting into the universe. This is about overcoming that. And I think you overcome it through various different experiences. And again, nothing is wasted. You might try something, reach out, and then it doesn't kind of go to plan, or it doesn't work out, or doesn't become the dream job, or the dream house, or the dream car, or, the dream person. But you will have learned along the way, you will have become stronger, and every time that happens, you're actually regenerating and healing something. And as I said, these runes are saying, breakthrough comes. This is about wholeness. It's about you healing and becoming whole through the experiences of your everyday life. Another very, very lovely card of promise. We have the Three of Discs, Works. This card is a card of reassurance. It says whatever you commit to, with slow and steady progress, it will succeed. Now, overall, I would say that you might need to try a few things on before you know what to commit to, but once you know your direction, once you reach that breakthrough point, the way will become clear. This rune of wholeness is very dynamic. It speaks of the path you must follow. So I feel as though you guys are going to be getting also an awful lot of guidance through the year. Now, you may actually want to, even during the year, check back in on this reading. I'm putting them into a playlist, so they should be easy to find, despite the numerous readings that obviously go up every month. But they should be easy to find, because I know for myself it's quite helpful to check back on where something was, especially if I'm having a wobble. But I think, slow, steady progress, again, there's so much promise and what I would call affirmation here. We'll draw now from the Archangel cards. This is an interesting card. We have teaching and learning. Archangel Zadkiel, keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. We also have a card of leadership. Archangel Gabriel, it's time for you to assume your leadership power and position and lovingly guide others. There's a really clear message coming through here. It connects back to what I was saying about living an ordinary life in an extraordinary way. We all lead by example. In this process of your personal evolution, this process of breakthrough, of finding the path that you must follow, I think you will be setting an example to people around you in terms of the way you live. You're walking that pathway of the spiritual warrior. And I think you do become an example, and I think your journey, nothing is wasted. I think some of you will actually get to share something of your journey from this coming year, and in sharing it, I think you will help and benefit others. I don't know whether that means writing or speaking or counselling, but there's something in here. Again, really interesting with Chiron, of course, the wounded healer. That's the card of the counsellor. Okay, we then have moon cycles. Archangel Haniel, notice how the moon affects your energy and manifestations and capitalise upon these cycles. Guys, I imagine if you're checking in on my readings, you're already aware that we often talk in the monthly readings about the cycles of the moon. And really, I think really notice how they affect you individually, because you really can learn how to manage your energy with the ebb and flow of the incoming energy of the moon. It's a very powerful tool in manifestation. Ooh. We then have a wonderful card, Gifts from God. Archangel Sandalphon, we angels bring you gifts from your Creator. Open your arms to receive. Whatever your journey of transition over 2020, in 2020, whatever that process, it is a process. It's a process of slow, steady emergence. I don't know, emerge isn't even quite the right word, because it just feels as though it's It's a steady pathway of your own evolution. There's a lot of journeying, a lot of reflection, but wow, guys, it leads to some kind of a breakthrough point where you really know what it is you want. You get to receive, you get to commit, you get to move forwards. A lot of people often ask, how do I find my calling? How do I know what it is? And the answer often is that you need to travel inwards. Sort of trust that you're being given the right opportunities, the right experiences, learn from those experiences and trust that doorways will be open. And of course that's how the breakthrough moments then come. I'm drawing now from the Art of Manifestation cards. Our first card is giving and receiving. I'm going to place these here. It says, give and take is different to giving and receiving. Taking and receiving are not the same. When we take, whoever we take from may or may not have chosen to give. However, when we receive, choice and respect are an integral part of the exchange. Let go of any need to take and embrace the harmony of giving and receiving. I'm really hearing here, again with these twists and turns in the road, trust. Don't worry, don't cling to something if it appears to be asking you to let it go or to move on. Trust that you are being shown a window of opportunity. I think you are going to get an awful lot of opportunities. And take your time. Love this card. Slow down. If you are feeling under pressure, whether in response to a situation or the demands of another person, or from pressure that you are placing on yourself, this card asks you to slow down and take time to evaluate before reaching a conclusion, making a decision, or committing yourself. Excuse me. I'm just going to have a glass of water. That is absolutely the flavour of this. Allow things to go if they need to go, move on, walk through new opportunities, new windows of opportunity, new doorways. Take your time, evaluate. Yeah, really, really lean into the learning, the healing. Listen to yourself, remove any blocks. Listen to the cycles of the moon. I think that's going to be a wonderful tool for you guys. I'm actually working on a moon diary at the moment. I'll announce it at some point if it becomes available. Ground yourself. This card is a request for you to literally ground yourself. Go outdoors, take off your shoes and find somewhere where it is safe to stand barefoot. Imagine roots growing out of your feet, travelling down into the soil beneath you, anchoring you with the nurturing energy of the earth. Again, keep yourself grounded as you journey through the changes and progressions, and trust breakthrough will come. You will know which direction to commit to at a certain point in the year. I don't have an indication of when, but I'm guessing it may be different for each of you depending on your circumstances. But I do hear that breakthrough is coming, gifts from God, rewards, changes, but it's really about doing the internal healing so that energetically everything starts to come to you. Really interesting, we have two cards that have come out here. I thought I'd be drawing one, and in fact we have two. So I'll spread them around a bit just so that we can see. We have release negative habits and take a leap. Release negative habits. We all form habits and patterns in our lives, whether in thought or in action. But like a pair of comfortable old slippers, there comes a time when they outgrow their value to us and we must let them go. Do something different today that shakes you out of your usual ways of responding and have fun doing so. Again, don't let yourself get stuck in a rut. I'm actually going to place that up here. It's a very interesting energy for you guys. So much happening next year for you. And it is a process. It really is. I mean, I know life is a process, but it's just really accentuated here in this reading. So much possibility. This card is an invitation to take a leap of faith. Sometimes, even when we desperately desire change, we procrastinate and find all kinds of reasons as to why we should stay as we are. It is completely understandable to be anxious when stepping into the unknown. This card is calling you to trust and make that move. There are going to be moments when you do have to trust, but just ground yourself again. Keep yourself grounded, keep your energy clear. There is going to come this moment, as I said, there is going to be a moment of breakthrough, and you will just know. You will just know that you have to follow that pathway. And this is interesting. We have one very clear card to finish with here. Learn to say no. Or I say finish these. I'm going to just draw a Moonology card as well before we wrap up. Learn to say no. Saying no is an act of love. When we say a healthy no to an abusive situation, whether this is in response to another person or to ourselves, we are setting limits and establishing healthy boundaries. A healthy no is saying yes to life. Give yourself permission to say no. I think some of you really are having to process. It's this process of healing, learning to set boundaries. Even if you find yourself in situations that feel as though maybe there are some repeating patterns, they are simply there to show you or give you an opportunity to learn to say no and to move beyond. And that, I think, is part of this process. It's part of the journey this year, and why I think it's why there's not an indication as to when the breakthrough happens. I think it's going to be down to each of you in terms of that inner healing work. Wonderful card from Moonology. We have surrender to the divine. Trust. Absolute trust is being called for. And hold your vision. Know what it is that you personally desire. Hold that vision. Allow the universe to bring you the experiences that you need in order to heal and resolve any issues, any boundary issues, any issues you need to put down, so that you are free and available to receive, to move forwards, to commit, to know your pathway. And I do believe for some of you that may well be embarking on some process of the sharing of your experiences, the learning of your experiences in ways that benefit others. Gemini, Sun in Gemini, Moon in Gemini, Gemini rising, anyone cross-watching. Guys, there's so much potential here. Really lean into the learning, trust, because I think if you can use this energy, the quicker you align yourself, the more quickly the changes will happen. That's what I kind of feel, this breakthrough that's here, the rune of joy, out of darkness into light. The more you are able to embrace your experiences as being learning opportunities that you're being given every step of the way to clear away the old, to step into the new, to release any negative habits, to align yourself with literally surrendering to the divine, align yourself with trust in a higher purpose. The more you do that, the more things are going to fall into place. That's what I'm really feeling in this reading. And that's kind of when the breakthrough moments really start to happen, and those realizations just kind of propel us in the direction that we are needing to go. Gemini, so much love to you, and I look forward to seeing you for some of the other readings, the big monthlies or the Sunday reading that I put up pretty much every Sunday for weekly guidance and direction. So much love to you guys.